I've been working at the Del Taco on Elm Street for years, and it's safe to say I've seen it all. From unruly customers to the occasional grease fire in the kitchen, nothing fazed me anymore. But there was something about the late-night shift that always sent a shiver down my spine. It wasn't just the eerie silence that blanketed the restaurant, or the flickering fluorescent lights that cast ominous shadows across the worn-out booths. It was the secrets that this place held, secrets that I was about to uncover. As I pushed through the heavy glass door of the restaurant, the frigid night air clung to my skin like a second layer of clothing. I couldn't help but glance at the sign that read Del Taco open 24 hours. I muttered a silent curse for agreeing to take the midnight shift again. It wasn't like I had much of a choice. The bills needed to be paid, and this was the only job that would have me. The dining area was deserted, except for a solitary figure hunched over one of the tables. It was Old Man Carl, as everyone in town called him. He was a regular, always coming in just before closing and nursing a cup of coffee for hours while scribbling in his tattered notebook. I waved to him as I headed behind the counter. "Even, Carl," I said, trying to muster a smile. He nodded, his beady eyes never leaving his notebook. "Evening, son." I went about my routine, flipping on the lights and checking the fryers. The hum of the ancient soda machine filled the silence as I filled a cup with ice. The night was off to its usual start, uneventful and mundane. Around midnight, the first strange occurrence of the night happened. I was busy restocking the condiment station when I heard the soft, eerie laughter of a child. I spun around, my heart pounding, but there was no one there. The dining area was still empty, and Old Man Carl remained engrossed in his notebook. I shook my head, chalking it up to exhaustion. It had been a long day, and strange noises were bound to play tricks on my mind. But the laughter lingered in my ears like a haunting melody. As the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The air inside the restaurant had grown stifling, and the dim lights seemed to flicker with an unnatural intensity. I kept catching glimpses of movement out of the corner of my eye, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there. Then, just as I was preparing to clean the grill, I heard it again, the laughter. This time, it was closer, as if it was right behind me. I whirled around, my spatula in hand, ready to confront whatever prankster was playing tricks on me. But there was no one there. Just the empty kitchen and the sizzling grill. "Is someone there?" I called out, my voice quivering. No response. My heart raced as I tried to rationalize what had just happened. Maybe it was a recording on a cell phone left behind by a forgetful customer. Or perhaps it was just my imagination running wild. I couldn't afford to lose this job, and I certainly couldn't afford to let my nerves get the best of me. With a deep breath, I went back to cleaning the grill, trying to push the unsettling laughter out of my mind. But it wasn't long before the next strange event occurred. As I wiped down the counter, I noticed a photograph tucked beneath the register. It was old, faded, and clearly hadn't been seen by human eyes in years. Curiosity got the best of me, and I pulled it out. In the photo, there was a family, a mother, a father, and a young girl, all dressed in 1980s fashion, smiling as they sat at one of the Del Taco booths. There was something off about the photo, though. The family seemed to glow with an unnatural radiance, and the background was blurred as if it had been hastily edited. I turned the photo over, and on the back, in shaky handwriting, was scrawled, "Our last happy meal together." A chill ran down my spine as I carefully placed the photo back under the register. I couldn't make sense of it. Who were these people, and why was their photo hidden here? And what did they mean by last happy meal together? I glanced over at old man Carl, still scribbling away at his table. Maybe he knew something about this strange photo, but he was the last person I wanted to disturb. Instead, I decided to focus on my work, hoping that the rest of the night would pass without incident. But that hope was shattered when I heard the laughter again, louder this time, and accompanied by the unmistakable sound of childish footsteps. My heart raced as I turned toward the dining area, expecting to see a child running around. But there was no child. Only old man Carl, his head tilted to the side, as if listening to the laughter too. "Carl, did you hear that?"
I ask, my voice trembling.
He looked up, his eyes wide with surprise. "Hear what, son?" The loud laughter. The child's laughter. "It's been happening all night." Carl shook his head, his bushy eyebrows furrowing. "I haven't heard a thing." I couldn't believe it. How could he not hear it? It was so loud, so clear. I was starting to doubt my own sanity. I decided to take a break and stepped outside for some fresh air. The night was quiet, the old sound, the distant hum of traffic. I leaned against the building, trying to calm my racing heart. Maybe I was just exhausted, and my mind was playing tricks on me. But then, as I gazed at the restaurant sign, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The letters on the sign were rearranging themselves, shifting and morphing into new words. It happened so quickly that I could barely make out what they said. Ia, too. It was as if the sign was trying to communicate something sinister. I stumbled back inside, my mind reeling. This couldn't be real. It was impossible. As I re-entered the restaurant, I found old man Carl standing at the counter, staring at the rearranged sign with a look of terror in his eyes. "Did you see that, Carl?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He nodded slowly. "I saw it. This place. It's cursed, son." Before I could respond, the lights overhead flickered and went out, plunging us into darkness. I fumbled for my phone and turned on the flashlight, casting a feeble beam of light across the restaurant. And that's when I saw them. Figures, shadowy and indistinct, were moving in the darkness. They seemed to be dancing, twirling in a macabre waltz. The laughter, now a cacophony, echoed through the restaurant. I felt a hand on my shoulder, and I jumped, spinning around to face old man Carl. But it wasn't him. It was one of the shadowy figures, its face a grotesque mask of glee. I stumbled back, my heart pounding in my chest. "We just wanted one last happy meal," it hissed, its voice a chilling whisper. I turned and bolted for the door, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. I could hear the figure fid behind me, their laughter growing louder and more maniacal with each step. As I burst through the door and into the cool night air, I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what was chasing me. I ran until I reached my car, fumbled for my keys, and sped away from that cursed place. I never went back to Del Taco on Elm Street. I quit my job and moved far away, trying to forget the horrors I had witnessed that night. But I could never forget the laughter, the rearranging sign, or the shadowy figures that haunted my dreams. I often wonder about old man Carl. Did he ever escape the nightmare that had taken hold of that restaurant? Or was he condemned to spend eternity in its twisted, dark embrace? One thing I know for sure, there are places in this world where the darkness runs deeper than we can ever imagine, where secrets are buried so far down that they can never truly be hidden. And sometimes, when you least expect it, those secrets will claw their way to the surface, revealing themselves in the most terrifying of ways. As for me, I'll never enter a fast food restaurant after midnight again. And if you ever find yourself at Del Taco on Elm Street in the dead of night, I pray that you have the good sense to run far, far away before the laughter finds you too.